Great. Thank you, Diana. Welcome in, everyone. Thanks for joining us here towards the end of the workday for most of us. Perhaps after hours here, but we're all just so excited that we're okay with it, right? So today we're going to be talking about some of the new UiPath document understanding features, particularly revolving around generative AI, which is everyone's favorite buzzword these days. My name is Greg Jacobson. Yeah, you can go ahead to the next slide, Russell. My name is Greg Jacobson. I'm a two-time UiPath MVP. I work at Protiviti. It's a global consulting firm. I'm a manager / solution architect there in our intelligent automation group. We have Diana on the call as well from UiPath, in charge of the UiPath community and growing that. And then our presenter today is Russell from Cubotica, also a fellow MVP. So I'm very excited to see what he has to say. And when I was I don't know if some folks here were at Forward, I know I saw some names that were familiar, but I tried checking out a Gen AI document understanding session that was more of a workshop, but there were a lot of access issues and they weren't able to get to the topic in the allotted time. So really excited for this session because I want to get my hands on this software, when it becomes publicly, available. So you can go to the next slide, Russell. Just a quick word about the UiPath Chicago chapter. Obviously, not everyone here is in the Chicago region, but that's okay. We're kind of more about growing a community, sharing ideas, building this melting pot of, brain power and talk all things RPA, UiPath, et cetera, et cetera. So if you have any other requests, ideas, again, it doesn't matter if you're outside the Chicago region, shoot it our way and we'll see if we can put together some sort of presentation. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Russell.
Sure. Thanks, Greg, for that introduction. And as Greg mentioned, our focus topic for today will be document understanding. One of the most interesting component and one most active areas when it comes to automation, and UiPath is used for across industry, across verticals, horizontals. Document understanding has come a long way from 2 years ago, 2-3 years ago to now, right? So that's what we'll be covering. I know for some of you, this is I won't bore you to that with this slides right here. But I also want to make sure that everyone are on the same page on what document understanding is. So this is just a quick refresher. The slides here just quickly walk through what document understanding is, what it can do, what it was right now, and what it will be for the demo, what I will show you what will be the future, right? So to start it off, document understanding, as by the name itself, it's a capability of UiPath to intelligently process documents, whether it's classifying documents, whether it's extracting from documents, basically being able to free up the data that's trapped within those documents in any type of document categories, like what you're seeing here. In terms of different document categories, you have those structured like fixed format forms, I-9 forms, like W-9 forms, application forms. Here, like passports. So these are structured documents. Let's say for passports or licenses for each state, they have their own format. So these are fixed format you can easily create template with. Semi-structured are those that can come in various format, but you would want the same thing across. Do you want the same taxonomy or fields across all those different formats? Examples are invoices, medical bills, utility bills. So these are the most common documents across like different industry in finance, healthcare. So let's say, take for example, invoice. It's semi-structured because to some extent, you can see the labels, you can see format uniform across one vendor, but when it comes to the other 500 or 1,000 vendor, it will be different. So that's semi-structured. Unstructured is completely doesn't adhere to a specific format, like contracts, agreements, and some probably some medical charts by created by the doctors. So that's our unstructured document. And how does it work? So UiPath has what they call document understanding framework, whether it's structured, semi-structured, or unstructured. First, you define the taxonomy. Taxonomy is basically the definition of the fields. So it's not yet doing, we're not yet doing classification, we're not yet doing extraction. It's just defining or setting the stage for your framework, where, let's say, for invoice, these are the fields, field names, like invoice number, total amount, line items, and that's the same taxonomy across all invoices, regardless of the format. So first, you define the taxonomy, then it will go to digitize, basically doing OCR, converting an image to a raw piece of text, and then from that raw piece of text, there will be a machine learning model to classify, or a keyword classifier to determine if it's an invoice or PO. Then you can push it for validation to make sure that the output of classification is good enough, or you can retrain the classifier. And then once it's properly classified, it will be pushed to extraction. So extraction, this is one of the key pieces in document understanding, because you want to get the specific data points. Let's say in an invoice, I mentioned invoice number, regardless of the format. So if it's a semi-structured document like invoice, you would want to have an extractor that can generalize any format. So that's why we're using a machine learning model for those, right? All the fields that you require, you feed into the ML extractor. UiPath has a good curation of machine learning models available for extraction. So this is what I mentioned, taxonomy. These are the definition of each document type and their corresponding fields and their data type to set the stage. OCR to digitize the text, whether you need to use OCR or not, because sometimes you don't need to use OCR. It's just a native PDF. So it directly scrapes that text. Classify, so whether you use intelligent keyword classifier or ML classifier, so you can even classify several document types from a multi-page document, whether it's invoice, purchase order, receipt. So intelligent classifier classifies and split this across several document types. And then once you've identified, then you can validate classification station. So this is the validation part. Or if to some extent you're already confident that the classification output is good, then you can skip this part. So all of these are modular pieces that you can add or remove in the DU framework, right? But the main piece that you're really interested in when doing the DU process is the extractor. As I mentioned, for structured document, you may want to have a rule-based extractor. Let's say a W9 form. Any W9 form has the same format. So you may want to just use form extractor instead of ML extractor. Or there's also what they call Forms AI. So you don't have to create the template yourself. If it's a structured document, you just feed it to the Forms AI and it automatically creates the different fields for you that's available on the form. And then you can use that ML for Forms ML, Forms AI skill. And for semi-structured document, the main recommendation is go directly using machine learning extractor. And as I mentioned, there are probably around 30 or 40 plus available pre-trained models that can cater different document types ranging from past invoice, purchase order, bill of lading, utility bills, you name it. So those are the most common across different areas in industry and functions as well, right? And then comes the hybrid approach, because you can combine this different extractor in one extraction scope. Let's make sure that the proper extractor is used at a field level. So what I mean by that, let's say you have invoice number, right? You have trained a machine learning extractor for the invoice number, and that's the default extractor. But you also see for some of the invoice, there's a pattern, right? There's a pattern that for the invoice number for some of the vendor. So you can also use or combine with direct X-based extractor, right? Then you could prioritize this extractor. So the workflow would look at flow from left to right, which extractor you have from the left, and it will use it first. And if it falls under the above the threshold of confidence that you set, then it will use that extractor. Otherwise, it will fall back to the other extractor that you have in your extraction scope. Let's say for invoice number, the regex based extraction was able to extract properly, then it won't consume AI units. It won't feed it to a machine learning extractor because it was already able to extract using the pattern. So pre-trained models, yeah, there are lots of available here. Document understanding for invoices, purchase order, and you name it. The most common thing that you can think of, the most common document type that you can think of in your function within your department, UiPath will already have a pre-trained model, right? Forms AI. So if you have a form that doesn't change, in order to avoid creating a form extractor or template from scratch, you can just upload 2 to 5 forms in Forms AI, and it will define the field for you. And you can, of course, do the labeling yourself, update the labeling. Or if something if your document type is not available as a pre-trained model, another option is training a new machine learning model from scratch using the generic document understanding model. So this is one of the options, and later in the demo, I'll show you the latest approach that you can do if you don't have any pre-trained model and you don't want to train your own model, you don't want to label and run a pipeline. I will show you how you can use generative extraction, how you can easily build. You don't need to build or train a model. You just use natural language prompts to do the extraction for you. That's what we'll show in the demo. But again, just covering this basics of document understanding. And then you can also validate the extraction, train the classifiers and extractors, and eventually process the downstream, perform the downstream. There's in the DU framework template, you have the export placeholder, the workflow where you can define whether you put it in an Excel and send it over as a report, or put it in a database. So basically, document understanding sits in the middle of the upstream process and the downstream process. Document understanding helps you surface the necessary data points from the documents and be able to leverage it in your downstream process, whether you need to enter it in SAP or any other applications you have. Okay, so 2023.4 release, I think this is a few months back. They have made some improvements around the faster deployment, more pre-trained models available. So payslip, certificates of origin. So these are the newest pre-trained model that's available. CMS 1500 for for healthcare claims. More accurate extraction with custom business rules. If you have time later, I will show you this custom business rules. If you're familiar with document understanding previously, um, you need if you want custom business rules, you need to explicitly define it in your workflow. But now with this custom business rules via taxonomy manager, you can define it in the taxonomy manager itself. Let's say for invoice number, I always want it to start with letter I. If that's not the case, then it will push to Action Center. So you can create custom business rules. You can make sure that the field is not blank. You can create mathematical expressions right here in the taxonomy manager itself, and then you can um, you can access the results of those business rules within your workflow. So you don't have to define the business rules in the workflow. This is the central way to do the business rules. Okay. So 2023.10 and beyond, I think some of this already we will show. Yeah, I think definitely this is something that we will show. The GPT-3 LLM for querying docs, this is, I think, this is an old deck. So probably that's why it says here 2023.10 and beyond. So this is what they call now as generative extraction. Pre-labeling documents with large language model, this is also out. If you had experience training a model before you can run a training pipeline, you have to label the documents, and labeling it would be manual, right? Unless you have a pre-trained model, a base model, then you can do pre-labeling. But now, even though you don't have a pre-trained model, you can pre-label using large language model, as it has integration with it already, right? And some of this ones we're gonna discuss. Okay. Now for the demo. So what I'm gonna show you first is what they call Extraction Automation Builder. Extraction Automation Builder helps you quickly set up a document understanding workflow by just specifying or providing a sample of the document that you have. Okay, that's the first thing that I want to show. So without any knowledge about what are the steps entailed in building a document understanding workflow, by Extraction Automation Builder, it's just a cinch, right? And it will help identify for you based on the document that you uploaded, what type of document it is. And if there's available pre-trained model, then it will use that pre-trained model to extract from that. So how easy is that, right? And then additional, as promised, I will show how you can use generative extraction and classification so that even if you don't have a pre-trained model, even if you are processing a completely niche document that you don't have a pre-trained model, like for invoice, like for purchase order, and you have to extract certain sets of field, how you can easily use generative extraction and classification to extract and classify those documents. Okay, so that's what we're going to cover right now, and I'll start by going to the document understanding service. I think this is also available in community. So if you have a UiPath community org, you can do this yourself as well. So what's the difference between create a project versus create automation? Right? Create a project is you wanna let me just show you. the project. So it creates a project within document understanding service so that you can define your own document type. If you are processing structured forms, you can do forms AI, like double line forms. And all this setup is for you to create a machine learning model or skill that you can use in your workflow to classify and extract from those documents, right? And then let's say I have a semi-structured AI. And then from semi-structured AI, as I mentioned, there are pre-trained machine learning models available. Let's say invoices. And then these are the predefined fields that you can extract it was trained with. And then you can provide, let's say, invoices. So what it does is it creates a data labeling session. So for Forms AI, you just have to upload the documents, maximum 20 pages, and it will automatically create the fields and label it for you. For semi-structured, if you started with a pre-trained model, it will already list down the fields for you, and then you can just upload the documents and label it. So this is when using a machine learning model, a custom machine learning model, to extract from this either pre-trained or common documents, semi-structured or structured documents, right? But that's what the projects are for. And then you can build your own classifier as well. You can do automated training. If you have a, of course, this has to have document samples, right? So it should contain samples so that it can train the classifier for you. And then once you once you added and labeled documents here, you can create extractors from here by training, and then it will train with the label data that you have. So that's typically how you how you create a machine learning model for your extraction and classification based on the document types that you need. So this is a pragmatic model, machine learning model, specifically trained to extract and classify W-9 forms and invoices. Right? So this is currently and previously how the only way to extract using document understanding. But now what I'm going to show you is um, uh, so if you want to directly build an automation and leverage the pre-trained models, you don't want to customize or retrain the machine learning models available, you just go ahead and create an automation, right? So in this example, I'm going to show you, let's say these are my samples right here, right? Let's say I'm going to do a receipt extraction. I know for a fact that UiPath has a pre-trained model for receipt. So I just want the help of Extraction Automation Builder to help me create the workflow for this particular receipt extraction process. So in here, I just need to drag and drop this here. And as I mentioned, it will automatically detect the document type. And based on that document type, it will create the workflow, point to the proper machine learning model for extraction, and then build the other steps in the workflow. It says here receipts. So we're good. This is correct. And I'll create the workflow. It'll just take a few seconds. So right then and there, you now will have a working document understanding workflow that extracts from this particular document that you can see here. So it has the manual trigger. Of course, you can change this to trigger from like new emails received. And then you just have the logs here. You have the extract document data, as I mentioned, based on the document type. It points to the receipts model extractor. And my requirement is not, I mean, it's the same as the predefined field. So I just use the pre-trained extractor. And then just push it for validation just to show the results. And let me just run this. Let's see what the pre-trained model for receipts output looks like. This looks like some Chinese restaurant. So it now pushes to action center, so I can validate the extraction. First, I can assign to cell. And then you can see here, by just doing nothing but using extraction automation builder and having it identify what type of document I uploaded, and since it classified it as receipt and it has a pre-trained model for receipt, so it's able to automatically extract this required fields, as you can see here. So from my experience, most of the pre-trained models available have a very considerable accuracy, even for the line items right here, even for the invoices and other pre-trained model. So if you have a project that the document types falls under the, you have an existing pre-trained model available, then that's the ideal way to go. That's the ideal approach. Go with an existing pre-trained machine learning model first. If you need to train additional fields on top of this, then you can create a custom. You can retrain that model, existing pre-trained model, and then add the fields during your labeling. But what if you have well, let me just submit. But what if you have a document, like for example, right here, I have I'm showing here some examples of appointment receipt or appointment confirmation. I cannot use the receipt model because the receipt model, like name, vendor, vendor address, but in this appointment receipt or appointment confirmation, it's completely different field. Like for example, in here, I want to extract the confirmation number. I want to extract the service, blah, 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 or whatever. And this similar thing in this appointment receipt, confirmation number, the date, the location. So it's a completely different schema. So, and if I look at this, I don't have anything available here to extract, to use as a base or pre-trained model, right? It's either I gather huge amount of sample of appointment receipt and create a custom machine learning model trained from scratch, or what I will do now and what I will demo now is how you can use generative extraction to leverage large language model, so you don't have to train your own model from scratch and go all through all those labeling and stuff. So that's what we're going to do right now. And let's start first with this appointment receipt. Um, what I'm gonna do is show you how you can use this generative extraction, and it's pretty easy. You can even demo this within your own or in your to your boss or to your own company. Let's say how to extract from contracts in 10 minutes. So how to extract from fill in the blanks, document type in like 10 minutes, something like that. So what you just need to do is, let's say, I want to extract the date and time of the appointment, date, time, or for example, appointment, uh, appointment, date, time. So the prompt is that the instruction that you give to the generative AI in order to extract this field. Can be in the form of a question or in the form of extraction. So, something like this, right? I'll give you a couple of. So this is where your prompt engineering skills will be very useful. So you can experiment with these different prompts. Let's say service. Um, 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 what is the nature of the appointment? And we also wanna extract the location. Um, so in here, let's make it take it up a notch. We want this in a specific format. So I want the address of the appointment. Um, and then extra or address. Components in JSON format. So I'm instructing the LLM to format similar to this. So I want the address components, all address components, whether it's address line 1, address line 2, and then all the address components. So it should also include state and zip code, but I didn't have to specify it since I specified this all address components. And one other thing is this has to be, I think one limitation is this has to be only 150 characters. So within the maximum characters for the prompt is 150, 133 is still good. And then we add, let's say, confirmation number. Let's put it differently. And then lastly, requirements. What do I need to bring? Just click save. Great, there you go. That's it. And let's see the result now. But I have to change this to the sample name. Let's say this one, appointment information. So I pre-uploaded this in storage bucket, so it should be there. I don't have to upload it again. This one, right? So it will download storage file. So it will run in a serverless robot. So see what the output is. Okay. So now opening Action Center to view the results. And I didn't train any machine learning model. I just specified the field name and the prompts. And let's see how it looks like. Okay, so um, the the appointment date and time is properly extracted, but you don't really want this whole thing right here. And the service, I think it's also properly extracted. Location, yeah, it seems not able to extract as well as confirmation and the requirements. So this is where your prompt refining or prompt engineering skills will be important. So in order for us to only extract the date and time, what if we add like something, stop this one. So let's edit this. Um, what is the date and time of the appointment? And oh, what happened? Oh, let me just log in again. So let's try this and test with a few more appointment receipt with another format. Let's change the prompts and add something. Let me just go back to the view service. Not sure why it logs off. Oh, it's in the studio web. Okay, let's wait for it. Okay. So let's update this and add uh, like provide only the specific value and nothing else. And let's see what the result is. Same thing. Let's do here. Here. Uh, here. And let's by just updating the prompts, let's see if it will uh, we can have or we can get different results. Okay, I think it's better, right? So what we just did is we just changed the prompt, refine it, added some verbiage around instructions around extracting specific things and nothing else, and it did we did get a good value as you can see here. So great. Let's test with one more just to show you that not only for this specific document, but let's see if we try with the other one. Appointment receipt. I think this is much simpler, so it would be easier for what uh, This is what it looks like. The other one. Okay. Fingers crossed. How it looks like. There you go. So appointment date and time, ID, location, address line 1, city, state, zip, confirmation. Perfect. So there you go. You have your appointment receipt extraction without training a model. You just use generative extraction to extract. Okay. Yeah, that's all well and good. What if you have another document type that again doesn't have any pre-trained model? You look at UiPath documentation, there's nothing available for this yet. And what I'm going to show you is a sample contract, MSA. So these are some of the example. This is not, uh, even though this is a contract, I just downloaded this from the web, so it's okay to show it here. I think. Uh, so let's say you have a use case where you want to extract from these contracts, but I don't know what fields you wanna extract here. So let's ask a solution. Let's ask ChatGPT. What are the fields? I'm sure you can extract the oh, for me, I don't have GPT-4. That's fine. I'm using the APIs anyway. What are the fields that can be extracted from an insert contract? Okay. So services, yeah, we can use some of this. Okay. Okay, let's use some of this. In oh what? Logged out again. Not sure why. So next thing, what we wanna do is we wanna extract from an MSA contract. But before that, I'll show you the generative classification. Now we have two document types. We want to identify if the document is a receipt, an appointment receipt, or a document is an MSA contract. That's the first thing before we define the extraction for the MSA contract. I hope everyone's still following and not getting sleepy. I see the chat is lively, but yeah, let's get to that in a bit. Let's see. So we want to classify between an appointment receipt and a contract. So there's an activity here for classification. Classified document. And then obviously we will use generative classifier. And similarly, you can be able to define the document type. Let's say MSA. And then the receipt. And then we ask again ChatGPT. What is let's have some help with the definition. Appointment receipt in less than Yeah, probably. As you can see, I'm not doing anything uh, creative. Even the prompt, I'm asking ChatGPT. So I'm very lazy right now. And then same thing. What is?
Quick question, Russell, for you. I don't
Uh-huh.
know if this has been figured out. We have a question in the chat about the AI unit consumption.
Oh, that's a good question. And unfortunately, I don't have answer to that as well because this is still in preview.
Yeah, that's
But
what
I have some indication that this will also use AI unit, although yeah, no commercial uh, discussions yet. Even with our TAM, they don't have any indication of how this can be consumed.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would say it's probably more expensive than not using the, Gen AI. So it's not like you don't want to go crazy with it because you only want to use it in scenarios where doing the more traditional classification or extraction methods
Yep.
won't work.
Yep. Yep, definitely this makes your life easier, and you can complement the pre-trained models with this one, because you just need to provide the description. As you can see, I didn't even write this myself, right? I have ChatGPT generate the definition of the contract, and that's it. With this input, it will be able to identify an MSA contract on our appointment receipt. So now that's there. Let's build the workflow. Very simple workflow to you just specify the downloaded file, right? So and then I can do a log or just do an else if directly. Okay. Uh, Document type, name of the document type equal to MS or like appointment receipt. It should be the same as the key that you provide in the document type classification. Then do this and this because the extracted results is coming from here. The other extracted results will be coming from this one. So now you have the appointment receipt built in. Once if you are specified the appointment receipt here, then it will go here and then use the initial prompt that you provided for appointment receipt. Else, you can create another extraction. And then now you can use time and then generative, and then now we can hold on what fields do you want here. Probably let's start with yeah, start with
Hey,
scope
Russell,
of
can you take a question?
yeah, sure.
There's a question that came in that said, how is AI unit consumption being calculated in both scenarios?
We
I think that's the same.
addressed it.
Yeah, that's so this is still in preview as mentioned. We don't have any details yet unless it's released in public of the how the AI units are being consumed. But as soon as we get something from, let's say, from sales, we'll definitely let you know as well, probably through this community event. So add a field. Yeah, just get anything here, term and termination. So I'm just using this definition of the fields provided by ChatGPT, and because I'm indemnification. let's just limit this to three. Uh, Three fields. Just only have 10 minutes, and I also want to answer some questions. Yeah, that's all. And then input file should be downloaded file. And then I want to look at the validate extracted data. Create validation task. And then extracted data will be coming from here. Let me just output this, save as a variable. Extracted results from traps. So we can differentiate. And then use that variable. Yeah, and validate contract so that different title. For this one, validate appointment. Okay. So let's try the contracts. Example. Oh, this is not. So now classified document is running. So disregard this one since this is hard coded from the template earlier. So it's hard coded here. So it's classified and it's running the contracts because of this condition, right? And let's see. Okay. So yeah, so since it's able to extract the scope, termination in term, and indemnification. So as you've seen earlier, you can further refine this. You want to get specific value in the scope of services or the deliverables and instruct how you want to parse it, how you want the output to be. But yeah, I think for demo this should be good enough. And let's try the other one. Let's try again the appointment receipt. Appointment confirmation. And it should classify properly and go to this extract document data. So while it's running, let's see the chat. Ooh, multiple documents. Yeah, I think thanks, Greg, for answering questions. As you can see here, it went to this statement, to the sequence, because it was classified as appointment receipt. So you know that the classification works, or you can also do a log message here. And the extracted data is validate appointment. And yep, similar to what we have earlier. Okay, great. And then one last thing I want to show is um, unfortunate that we don't have any time to show the business rules, but you can freely explore it yourself because what you can do is from Studio Web. So this is I'm showing this by the Studio Web. What you can do is open this in Studio Desktop, and you could uh, edit it from if you're more comfortable when updating or editing in Studio, right? And yeah, I mean from here you can incorporate it into the DU framework template, augmenting your pre-trained model or complementing your pre-trained model if you're using it, and then probably interact with your local files. And this is how it looks like in Studio. Since this is a cross-platform, you'll notice that it's mainly headless type of automation. You won't have the UI automation dependencies, right? The if you search for activities here, you won't see the for each file in folder. Typically in Windows folders. So since this type of project will run in a cross-platform, serverless, headless type of automation, so there are things that you won't be able to use if you're using cross-platform. So the idea is if you want to build from Studio instead of Studio Web and interact with your local files for testing, the idea is I suggest you start with the document understanding process. So this is the framework that I mentioned to you previously. Start with the document understanding process. So if I create this one. So this is a template from Studio. And I'll show you what the dependency that you need to install in order to use the generative AI from Studio itself. So in here, the main packages are intelligent OCR activities. But this one, if you search the document understanding, uh, yeah. Uh, okay. Oh, so the generative AI. Okay, yeah. I figured since I installed cross-platform, it will be different. But just let me just show you something here. So this is I'll show you the Windows type of project versus cross-platform. So I have the intelligent OCR and I have the document understanding activity. If I look at the activities that are here, what's happening? Okay, so this is the one that is included in the framework. Remember that the digitize, classify, load taxonomy, and all those during the overview deck. While for generative AI, generative extraction classification, these are the activities. So they have, as of now, they have different package, but gradually the product team are consolidating into this new cross-platform one. So yeah, I think we don't have that much time. I was but yeah, I think hope this helps you like see the power of generative AI in document extraction classification.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, Russell. I think as you can see, the real skill with all these new generative AI features coming out is, you don't need the fear that it's going to replace you, but the skill is going to be how do you prompt accurately and extract what you want out of it. I mean, as you saw in the demo, like it requires some fine tuning, right? So getting better at that is going to come down to, experience and expertise.
Right.
Sorry we didn't get to a lot of questions, but I dropped my email in there. Russell, if you want to do the same in the chat, if there was any other questions you had, feel free to shoot us an email. And Diana, was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I appreciate Pravathi saying that he wanted a follow-up session, so I'll check on that. But great job tonight, Russell and Greg, and you guys, if you have any other topics you'd like us to discuss in the future, please put them in chat, and we'll look into getting somebody in to talk about those. Just thank you everybody for joining tonight's call.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.